All right. There we go. That lovely little automated voice there, but we all know now that we're being recorded. So thank you guys, or you ladies, all for joining us tonight. I'm so excited that you are interested in this topic and interested in this series. So I want to give a huge shout out and huge kudos and thank you to your co-leads here who have been on our hackathon committee. Ileana, Jane, Janelle, Jasmine, Liz, myself, Meredith, Michelle, and Naomi have been instrumental in getting this series off the ground. It's our first time of trying this as a Houston chapter. So we're really excited to see what comes out of it and hope that you really enjoy it. I will also be introducing our presenters later on, and they have been instrumental as well in helping us formulate this hackathon as a multi-month series. So if you're new to Hexagon, welcome. If you have not attended a Hexagon Houston event before, want to just catch you up on our mission statement. So we're a community of women and non-binary folks in the UX space. And our goal is to really create community and not only build skills, but build a support system for women in the tech fields wanting to grow in UX. It's a mission, I guess, of equity in and of itself, which is why our theme really tied in well with our mission. So hope that helps you feel comfortable and welcome to our community. So let's jump in to our series theme here. So what is equity and why is it really important for us to address as UX designers, UX researchers, anyone in this technology field? So a little bit of terminology here. I'll try to zoom in a little bit without overwhelming the screen. So there are a lot of words tossed around that may get a little bit confused. So diversity, equity, and inclusion are used together often, but they do have different meanings. So want to address that here. So diversity is, of course, bringing everyone to the table, making sure that there is diverse representation in your organization, in your group, in your user base, in our instance here. Equity is really about making sure that all of the diverse people represented have equal power and that there's no imbalance of power and opportunity for any of the people represented. And inclusion, we're defining as everyone having decision-making authority and ability and everyone feeling a sense of belonging and a place at the table. This Venn diagram here is maybe a little bit wordy to read together in this context, but I included it because I want to show that these different topics are not the same thing, but they do overlap to create our ultimate pinnacle goal in anything that we do in the technology space and as Hexagon as well. We want to create a sense of belonging. And really, you have to have all three, equity, diversity, and inclusion, to have that real, true sense of belonging. But before you can get there, you have to have all of the stair steps addressed. So that's what we want to do with this hackathon series. And why, oops, I am moving things around on the board here. So why equity by design is technically our theme. So we think that equity and design work hand in hand. So we can see, these are some quotes from some articles that you might have seen shared on our platforms leading up to the event. So we can identify that racism and inequity are products of design. And while that might be a little bit discouraging, the flip side of that is that they can also be redesigned. And that's really encouraging and exciting. So we want to use this series together as a way of reflecting on our design work. The second quote here, what exactly is our design work producing? Not in the material sense, but the social and cultural sense. And what systems of thought are we purposefully or unconsciously supporting or undermining? And we think that design thinking can be a powerful force for equity and address the effects of oppression. So these are not original thoughts from many of us. These are thoughts from people who have put a lot more time and energy into the equity space, and we want to learn from the work that's been done ahead of us and be able to see what we can come up with together as a community. Let me try to move to the next slide without dragging anything around. Okay, so if you are here in this series, you are probably familiar or at least interested in learning more about the design thinking process. And you can see here on the top, this little illustration here represents the more traditional, I guess, phases of the design thinking process. So empathize, as user experience people, we want to empathize with our users, use that information to define the problem space that we want to solve, ideate potential solutions to that problem, prototype multiple different ways of addressing that solution, and then test. So that's kind of the foundation, the baseline of design thinking. And there are a lot of different organizations that I've been introduced to just in the process of getting this series ready to go. And Betna Design has partnered with, there's a National Equity Project, Liberatory Design, Design Justice, a lot of different organizations have come together to rethink the design thinking process. That's not too meta, because they identified that we can still unintentionally be causing harm with what we create and produce. So these diagrams down here represent kind of the iteration of their liberatory design framework. So it's very similar to the design thinking framework. Let me see if I can hide. Okay, it's very similar to the design thinking framework, but they have arranged it in a more cyclical shape to show this is really happening all the time. We're always iterating, we're always improving, and they've added notice and reflect. And this is the notice is taking time to be mindful, step back before you jump into a problem space and think about your own personal biases, the systemic biases and oppression that may be inherent in the problem space that you are you're trying to address. So empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test are the same in this iteration, and they've added reflect. So we don't always take time to think about the impact of what we have created, maybe having in the world. So yes, we test, we learn from our tests, and we iterate on our design, but do we really think about the impact of it being out in the world? So this was their first iteration of liberatory design, and just recently they revealed this iteration. So they wanted to make it feel more organic, which is the flower shape. Notice and reflect are still at the center because that's the core differentiation. And a couple of key things I do want to call out here. So empathize and define are still the same words. Inquire, they changed ideate to inquire, and or they added inquire, sorry. I'm getting a little bit off here in the cycle, mapping it together. They changed key terms because using it in communities where people have often felt oppressed or marginalized, there were key terms that were a little bit off-putting. So ideate can mean different things in different communities. And so imagine is more of the sentiment that they wanted to use as the jumping off point. Prototype is the same, but test has been changed to try. And again, this was based on feedback from the communities that these different groups have worked with, that people don't want to feel like test subjects. So if you use the word try, it feels more collaborative and you're working with the people that you were designing for or with to find the right answer. So these are the terms that we would like to keep in mind moving forward. And I introduce all of this not as an expert by any means in liberatory design, but just that we want to think about the ways that typical design thinking, as it is used in the tech space, may still, you can see this quote down here, may still exacerbate power asymmetries. So if you think about how we typically involve users in our design thinking process, yes, we interview them. We want to empathize and define our problem space based on their needs, but we are still effectively serving as the design leader, and we are designing for a beneficiary. And the concept of liberatory design is wanting to open that up and let users play more of a participatory role in the design thinking process, and leveling those potential power imbalances. So keep that in mind as we start to think about who our users are for the length of this series, and hopefully we'll be able to involve them in the process. Okay. Jasmine, I think I'm gonna turn it over to you to talk us through how we're gonna approach this in the Hackathon project and our series timeline.
Yeah, so I'm going to explain real quick what exactly we'll be working on. So themes equity by design, and really we want to focus on working in that problem space that promotes equity. For the sake of this series, we're going to focus on a solution that can be digitally prototyped, but we know, real solutions doesn't have to be, digital, but just for the sake of the series, it will be. And then at the end, you will be submitting a final deck and presenting your solution at our showcase in September. And then we do have a further breakdown of everything. And of course, we're going to talk about it. But just for your reference, we have created a Notion document of the project breakdown, the different phases and events we'll have for you, and a lot of resources and tools for you to utilize. And we'll also share that Notion link in the chat for you too.
Awesome.
All right, so let's go through what the series is going to look like. So of course, you're at the kickoff event. Our next event is going to, well, first for this event, we're going to generate some an hypotheses and some ideas for you to work on, and then we'll be forming the teams at the end. Our next event is going to be doing some generative user research with April Showers. That's going to be next Saturday, the 12th. And there she'll teach you some key methods to doing some research, how to synthesize it. And then, your ideas from there, we'll take it and go to our solution ideation event, where we'll brainstorm on them, prioritize, and storyboard some solutions. In between those two events, we'll have an office hour. And as you can see, in between each main event, we'll have office hours. These are going to be some times for you to go to visit a UX professional to get your questions answered, get some advice. If you're stuck with anything during the project, you can go to them and get your questions answered. But of course, us co-leads will be here for you as well at any time. So after the solution, oh wait, Meredith.
Sorry. Ready to go.
Solution creation event. We'll have another office hour for that, for your questions relating to that event. We'll have the prototyping, and mid-August, well, you'll learn to prototype your event, and we'll be using Figma. So feel free to look that up, get familiar with it. But of course, we'll show you how to use it and just how to prototype some key screens and how to test with it. We'll have an office hour for that. And then we'll have a usability testing session where we will teach you how to test your prototype. And then an office hour for that. And then finally, our showcase mid-September.
And I do want to interject that normally hackathons are a weekend. And so that we realize that this is a very different setup for a typical hackathon, but we want you to get the benefit of collaborating and working with a team over time. So not only can you really build those connections, but you're building a project that hopefully can be used in your portfolio as well. And it gives you a lot more time to hone your skills with these separate events and office hours as well. So that's our thinking behind the methodology here. Okay, sorry, Jasmine.
No, you're good. Thank you for that explanation. And then, yeah, so we'll be working in teams, and ideally you want your team size to be around 3 to 6 people. That's just the optimal, working group size. We will be self-organizing into teams, and I'll explain towards the end of the event how we'll rally around the ideas you all come up with. And hopefully you all have varying experience levels and interest areas. So, not everyone will be bringing to the table the same experience, background. I don't think that's even possible, but the idea is for just everyone to bring their own experience into their group. And then we do want you all rotating roles for each phase. In the Notion document, we have explained some suggested roles and deliverables for you. So we just don't want one person doing the same thing throughout the whole series, right? We want each of you to get project management experience, leadership experience, design experience, research, all of that. So all of you should be doing something different in each phase and, getting experience for it all. And then again, that's the Notion link to the document where it breaks down everything further. Does anyone have any questions over anything so far?
Yes, that was a lot of information for you. And we know we want to get to the fun part of the actual brainstorming, but want to make sure that you understand where we're going with the series. Yes, Lisa, we'll get the Notion link for you in the chat.
Let me grab that.
And feel free to come off mute if you want to ask your question, or put it in the chat, whatever is preferable for you. And I'm okay waiting through awkward silence so that you feel comfortable asking your question if you want. Of course, Slack is the best way to reach all of us as co-leads to be your support through this. If you don't have questions right now, you can ask questions on Slack at any time.
Yeah, we have a Hackathon equity channel.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that in there, sorry.
So we'll have that link elsewhere in the board if you haven't accessed it yet, so that you can join the channel and be sure that once you leave the event tonight, you don't feel like you are on an island.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So say if you miss an event, what would be the makeup of that? Or because I know sessions are recorded, and yeah, just questions on missing events and makeups and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. Yeah, that's kind of the risk of doing an extended series, is we know that everybody won't be able to attend everything, but we won't be recording the office hours, but we will be recording the workshops. So those will be accessible on Notion and on our YouTube channel as well. Janelli is our comms manager and is great about making sure everybody has access to the resources. We also are hoping that the majority of everyone will want to participate in a team, so that you all can kind of rely on each other for the times that you're not able to attend, and catch each other up that way as well. So there's nothing required about any of the events. It's just hopefully support for you in building skills. And in the Notion document as well, we have some suggested deliverables. So if you watch the recording, or if you want to look up information about any of those suggested deliverables, that can catch you up on things that you can be doing at that phase of the process.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So Christina asks in the chat, what if members in your group becomes inactive during the process?
So in our document on Notion, we have encouraged anyone participating in a team, if you are unable to participate in some phase of the series, or if something happens and you need to step back, we understand that life happens, but we want you to be able to communicate with your team early and often about your capacity, so that there's no judgment at all, but just being kind to the rest of your teammates and letting them know, so that whatever you had on your plate can be reshuffled or just recalibrated, I guess. And of course, if that is not working out just in the organic team dynamics, you can let one of us know in a direct message on Slack, and we can try to help you navigate.
Another question is, can you work on, oh wait, sorry, I skipped one. Autumn asks, this is just a logistics question, but are the future meetings at the same time, or is that TBA?
So we're trying to schedule all of the office hours on Thursday evenings at the same time. We know we have people participating from different time zones. So we want to try to be as accommodating as possible. So if this time frame isn't working, let us know. We can try to support you in another way. But some of our the other workshops are on Saturdays, and those will be 10 a.m. Central Time to 12 p.m. Central Time. So that may be an early morning on a Saturday for people joining us from the West Coast. But hopefully a Saturday morning will give you time to decompress from the work week and give us enough time to really dig in a full 2 hours instead of an hour and a half on a weeknight, to give you the full benefit of the subject matter. And then you have the rest of your weekend to focus on having fun.
And then another question, can you work on expanding a project you have started on a previous hackathon, or is the idea to develop a whole new project collaboratively from scratch?
Lindsay, I would say expanding on a previous project is fine. I guess we would ask that if you share that idea tonight as a brainstorming idea, that if other people are interested in participating in it, that either you are open to them joining you as a team, or that you would be okay if a different team approaches that same problem space, but from a different angle. But yeah, no restrictions, I guess. We want you to be able to use these resources, and as long as it is equity themed and can be digitally prototyped, then I think you're good to go.
Yep. And then just this last one, so we could move on and try and stay somewhat on time. Do you have suggestions on how often we meet with our team in between the Hexagon meetings?
Yeah, I think that will probably be determined just by the number of people you end up having on your team and who's interested in what different parts of the process and how much capacity everyone has. But we have tried to schedule the main workshops a month apart from each other. This next research one is an anomaly here because it'll be next Saturday, which is much sooner, but we wanted you to keep up the momentum of joining a team and getting right into the generative user research. So the office hours in between the workshops are optional as well. So I guess you can count that toward your overall team time. But I would think a once a week check-in at least would be beneficial, whether that's asynchronously just in a stand-up kind of capacity, or some sort of virtual video meeting. All right, well, if you have other questions, feel free to keep putting them in the chat or ask them on Slack, and we will be sure to address them for you. But I want to get us into the really fun brainstorming part of the night's agenda. So let me quickly introduce our awesome facilitators. So Julie Lowe is an experienced design principal at Slalom Build, which is a Houston-based well, Slalom Build is everywhere, but Julie is in the Houston location of Slalom Build, a consulting firm that works on design technology projects across all different sectors. So Julie comes to us with a lot of varied experience from more consumer-based products and oil and gas products all over the map. So she has a lot of experience to be able to share. And Slalom has a really great discovery process that they use with new clients. So Julie and Erin will both be bringing some of that to the table this evening for you to get to benefit from. And Erin Strobel is joining us from Austin, so also a Texan. She is an experienced design architect at Slalom and has been in the UX space for several years, and before that in visual design. So she also has a lot of experience, wealth of knowledge, and will be sharing some learnings from past hackathons that Slalom has hosted between their different locations. So with that, Julie, I will pass it over to you to kick off the brainstorming.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are happy to be here and excited to dig in more. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about this theme. And shout out to whoever put together this deck because I love the branding. All right, so we're gonna get started. And so what we're going to be doing in the next 20 or 30 minutes is start unpacking some of the different angles that equity by design might be able to take, exploring the problem spaces it can be applied to. And so it's a broad topic, and I wanted to start with an open-ended question to just let's start identifying where equity is lacking, and then we can dig a bit deeper on the next round. So let's start with, I'm going to start with 5 minutes. If we need to extend, we can, but we learned some good skills with our icebreaker. So if you want to grab some sticky notes and start putting places you've observed equity lacking, it can be big, it can be small, and let's just get started, and I will start a timer now.
And I will attempt to play ambient music while we brainstorm.
Yay. All right, that is time. This board filled up faster than I thought it would. This has been awesome.
Wow.
um, does anyone need a little more time? All right. Erin, I'm going to ask for your help. I think doing some affinity grouping would be good because I do see some themes popping up in some of these. So do you think you could take like the left side of the canvas and I'll take the right side? And
Yeah, that
we'll
sounds good.
start grouping.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Oop.
And in case you are new to the term affinity mapping, it's just a fancy UX way of saying like grouping categories. So trying to find the themes of what everybody has put down so that we can start to kind of heat map where the most interest is in these different equity ideas.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Meredith. And then if you guys start noticing kind of groupings and you see a sticky note that would fit in that grouping, feel free to drag it over. I see like an education one coming together. I see some mental health ones coming together, some food one. Is that food?
Is there like a grouping for more of like business side, or I thought there was an interesting one about access to capital to build wealth.
There's a financial one, kind of the top, and then there's kind of some leadership stuff up there too.
Okay.
Is there like a women's health one? Because I feel like I've read a couple of those and I came across two, but I thought there were more.
In the center, we have that healthcare one, but yeah, I've seen a couple women-specific health issues. So I don't know if we want to have those like next to each other or...
I'm going to put them over by the healthcare one. All right. How do people feel about the groups that are coming up? Does anyone see any stickies that are kind of unique and maybe look like we have kind of a unique group, access to public transportation, access to legal service, access to Wi-Fi? That's kind of a, those might be unique ideas.
There was one that said immigration. Oh, it moved. I don't know where it went. Never mind. Disappeared.
This is a tricky board.
There was a few about representation in popular media, but one of the posts did disappear too. I think it got put somewhere else.
Yeah, I remember seeing media representation somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have some groups. I'm going to give us 2 minutes to dot vote. And what that means is if you scroll over one section, we have upvote your faves and a whole bunch of stickers. And so let's do 3 each. So choose your favorite sticker and then vote on 3 ideas. And it could be at the category level, or it could be on one of the specific stickies. So just place the stickers on the 3 that speak to you. And you'll get extra time because I forgot to start my timer. So 2 minutes starting now.
Hi, can you repeat how to do that?
So on the right, there's some example stickers, and you can just grab one of those. So you can click and drag, or you could copy and paste. Looks like we might be running low on stickies or on stickers. But there's a whole bunch of icons. There's shamrocks, there's donuts, there's fire. Do you see them?
No.
All right, who is it? Lisa? Let me see if I
Yeah.
can.
Oh, there they
Sometimes
are.
they're-
Okay, I can see them on your screen. I just can't see them on mine.
So you might have to, if you click and drag, that's how you move around on the canvas. So you might have to click and drag to the right, or click and drag left, so that way your canvas reveals itself from the right.
Yeah, it's not working for me, but.
Oh. You can copy
That's
somebody else's
me.
sticker that you can see.
Okay,
They're
thank
not
you.
unique stickers.
I think too, to move things around, you have to make sure you have like the arrow highlighted from that the toolbar on the left, because I was having issues with the sticky notes with that. So maybe that'll help.
Yeah, you can hold down the space bar. Well, now that I say that, is it gonna work? Holding down the space bar and clicking and dragging switches from the arrow pointer to the hand so that you can grab the canvas and move around.
Yeah, not a good time to learn this program. But that's
All
okay.
right.
I'll do better next time.
We're at 2 minutes and all of the topics are popular.
Did everybody just vote for 3? You have to pick your top 3.
We have 44 people in here times 3. We maybe should have only done 1. All right, I see a lot of energy around healthcare. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 on healthcare. A lot specifically around sex education. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on work. So my very informal counting, my non-scientific counting, it looks like healthcare got the most votes. So going to jump over to the canvas that's called brainstorming round 2. Let me see, there's sometimes a feature that I can bring people to me. So let me see if I can find that. No, that's the hide cursors.
Oh yeah, I thought if you clicked on your name at the top, it would like make you the.
Yeah.
Bring everyone to me.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm trying to click on it, it's not letting me. Meredith, you might have to come to this canvas and bring everyone to you.
Okay.
Would the mental health also go within the healthcare as well?
I could see that. Hey, everybody showed up.
Okay. Sorry if I tore you away from where you wanted to be.
All right, so we're gonna focus on healthcare. Oops. As our round 2. And so this, I'm gonna give us another 5 minutes. And the idea is to go deeper on healthcare. And so think about mental health, for example. It might be a more specific one. What are some more specific ones? The women's health stuff might be relevant here. Some so maybe start digging into the 5 W's of who is experiencing the problem, where are they experiencing it? Just trying to get a little more meat around the problem space of equity in healthcare. And I will start our 5 minutes now.
Mm.
All right, we're at time. So let's do the grouping again. I know I've been trying to read along a little bit. But if we want to start pulling together themes again to do the affinity groupings. You know, there was some stuff around like workplace support and workplace, is it? And then specific types of healthcare or mental health or dental stuff. So if we can just do the same thing we did and group into themes.
Oh, oops.
All right, I feel like this bottom right corner actually has two things running into each other. There's some access stuff in here too. I'm just going to throw it out on the side over here. All right, so it looks like we're landing on some interesting themes here. So this is just an example of how you can go deeper into one of those bigger topics. So we're going to do the dot voting again. This time we're only going to choose one. You get to vote on one. So there's a dot voting 2 section over to the right there. Grab or copy your favorite emoticon there and vote for one favorite.
Are we voting for a sticky note or a topic?
Either. We can do, this is really just kind of gauging some interest. It will be jumping off points for problem spaces teams might want to rally around. And apparently I am terrible at remembering to set a timer. So I'm going to set it for 30 seconds because we've already been going for a little while. So you have 30 seconds to vote for the one that speaks to you the most. All right, and that is time. So if I hide everybody's cursors. Seeing the menstrual health looks like and women's health picked up a lot of interest. And everything else seems to picked up, and the needs of oppressed or othered groups picked up a lot of interest. So just because those are the things that are picking up interest doesn't limit how you can explore. We just kind of wanted to show you how you can start unpacking what equity and design might mean, and how different angles might be able to be explored and give you a jumping off space, and taking this problem space to the next session around the generative research will show you ways of how you can dig in more and talk to actual people in those spaces and learn more. So I am going to hand it off to Erin. So we do hackathons within Slalom, and we do kind of this long form hackathon. And so I will let Erin share. Erin has participated in multiple of these hackathons. We have other designers that have participated in them. And so we try to pull some of our tips and ways to stay engaged over the long haul. And I will let Erin take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. Yeah, so this is actually one of my favorite aspects of what Slalom offers employees, is just you get the chance to participate in different hackathons. You can be super curious and approach problem solving in totally different ways. And so each year we've had really awesome themes. This year is the environment. Last year is social impact. And my team had the chance to work with Stanford, their immigration policy lab. So there's like a lot of really interesting directions you can take it. And I think one of my favorite things is that, you know, obviously we're coming from the design angle, but you're working with designers, engineers, and then a lot of times too in these kinds of spaces, it can be nonprofit partners or people, you know, in research or totally different backgrounds than you have. And so you get to combine all that expertise and you approach things in really different ways, and you get some very cool ideas that come out of that. So that's super inspiring, and it's really fun to get involved. So we had talked to some coworkers on the design team at Slalom, and kind of our key tips or takeaways was, you know, obviously first having fun and experimenting. I think, you know, this is a chance, especially, you know, I know Slalom, this is how we approach it. And in general, it's a chance to like interact with tools you haven't used, you know, problem spaces. You know, you can really decide how you want to take it, and there aren't necessarily any inherent rules baked in. So just taking advantage of that, as this is a chance to learn something new. It sometimes it can be kind of intimidating because you want to plan things out, but I think striking that balance between kind of more innovative curiosity and also like trying to stay organized has definitely been helpful. And so that's kind of the second bullet too, was just creating a general roadmap and kind of breaking it down that way. So, you know, sometimes I definitely prefer having kind of like the 4-month spread out, because it really gives you time to think about this and be thoughtful and kind of return back to problems that you had initially thought about. But sometimes, you know, when it's that much open of a timeline, it can get kind of intimidating, like how do you stay on track? So I think it's really helpful to kind of have those main benchmarks in mind and work backwards from there. Because I know last year when we were working, even when we kind of started saying, all right, this is our couple weeks dedicated to discovery, we don't know exactly what that entails, but we'll give ourselves the space to kind of, you know, be in a little bit more freeform mode. We know eventually we want to get to wireframes. So maybe around this, you know, part of the month or whatever, that's when we'll start kind of transitioning to kind of harder, more concrete ideas. And then like you guys have this too with user testing at the end. So I think when we kind of roughly had those sketched out, it made our team feel much better because we kind of knew where we were heading. So it was easier to then start approaching it, you know, week by week versus, oh, what am I going to do with this giant 4-month window? And so that was really helpful just to kind of stay on track with the team and just kind of mentally chunk out the work. And then this third bullet, treat it like a client project. I think the thinking here was just, you know, when you're starting any project, I think it's really helpful to kind of establish, you know, like how do we want to approach things? What are some, you know, team working agreements, or if there's, you know, maybe not certain expectations, but just certain kind of ways of approaching things that people want to get aligned on. It's kind of nice to kind of kick off the project that way. So just you and your teammates are all on the same page. But I think all of these kind of, to me, our big takeaway when we talked about this at Slalom was just, it's really that kind of balance between, I think, you know, free form, creativity, innovation, kind of, you know, relishing the fact that it doesn't have to be so focused the way that client projects are, but then also kind of approaching it with that way of staying organized. I think that will help the team kind of move along the best. So figuring out what that balance is for you. And then this was actually from one of our other designers, this quote, which is saying, the best way to stay engaged is to ensure the experience is informal, rewarding, enjoyable. No one wants another job on top of their day job. And so I think that was a really good call out because, you know, it's super exciting and you get really passionate about this. And so I think you definitely, it's exciting. I know I've done this, you want to take on a lot. But I think it's a good reminder that this is an opportunity to come at something in a totally different perspective. And so ultimately it should be fun and just kind of, sometimes even when things aren't fully baked, when you toss them out there, you'd be surprised where your teammates might take something in a different direction. So not worrying so much about being, you know, polished or overly formal, because again, sometimes I feel like in those brainstorms, that's when the idea comes out. Yeah, and then I think we had a couple more slides I can just kind of talk to. So that's kind of like our overall approach to hackathons at Slalom. And we wanted to share too, you know, some of the different questions that we've answered based on each year's different themes, just to kind of see, you know, show how differently you can take it. So in the last, you know, couple of years, we've answered questions like, how do we help support adolescents living with ADHD? How do we provide immigrants with better opportunities when they move to a new country? How do we help, you know, people get placed for the best experiences tailored to them? And then we've also looked at, you know, how do we improve quality of life in different communities using IoT devices? So, you know, things like connecting your devices to your house, to your car, like how can that impact people's lives? And I think the interesting thing too is when you look at some of the solutions, these were just kind of a handful of ones that I picked from these last few years, but you know, some of the solutions can be a personal coaching app, a survey tool, something physical like sensors that are collecting data. There's a lot of different ways that you can take it. And I think what's really cool is that each year we have one core, problem space that we're trying to solve for. And you can have like 20 different solutions presented by teams, again, from like physical devices to experiences to online forums. And I think the cool thing is to really, just focus on the problem that you're trying to solve and not get too swept up in, you know, maybe what other teams are doing or how they're approaching it, because people are just taking it in so many different directions. And I think it's ultimately serving the problem that you're trying to solve. And so that, again, that can take any medium, and it's really exciting to see all the different ways that people approach it that you really never would have thought of. And just going off of that too, I think this final slide coming up, I think it was 2 years ago in the Chicago office, we had a hack the office. And so this is like just showing even further how far you can take it. So it was, the core problem was, how do we make the office a better, more enjoyable place to work? And so people had things like, we always had an issue finding our packages downstairs and people would miss getting them. So they'd have, computer notifications. Somebody was able to hook up something for a thirsty plant where they were able to figure out when the office plants needed to be watered by measuring like soil moisture levels. And so our plants were healthier and happier. People could figure out, somebody proposed if you had nameplates on desks, because our office was growing so quickly, that could be a quicker way to find your coworkers and your friends and figure out where they're located in the office. Likewise, somebody proposed, I think it was using cell phones, that you could have a heat map of our offices and see which spaces are used the most, and kind of thinking about how we want to redesign the office. And then we even had things like, this last one was Fun Police, but it was showing dashboards of like, we have a lot of open spaces in the office for in a game room. So you could like reserve the next game, see who's playing what, see scoreboards. You could see what snacks were in the office, different things like that. So again, these were all just, approaching the same core problem of just how would you change the office? And so again, I think there's a million different directions that you can take it. And so I think that's what's most exciting about this whole process. So definitely don't feel pegged down to, approach it in a more traditional way. I think you can take it any way with your team. And so I think those are the main slides that we are going to walk through with Slalom. I know I just said a lot of stuff. I don't know if anybody has questions about any of that.
please feel free to unmute and ask Erin any questions before we jump into our last couple of minutes together.
And one thing I would say too is going off the idea of, kind of making like some sort of roadmap for your team. I think you can also really take advantage of those office hours throughout the way, because maybe sometimes you may feel blocked or overwhelmed. And so I think the cool thing there is like what, I do this all the time at work where, you can just send a message up to the teams or to, designers at Solemn and just say like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Like, how might you approach this? Because again, sometimes you can be so close to something and somebody who's new to it can come in and see it in a totally different way and help point you in the right direction. So I would say definitely take advantage of those too as part of your roadmap.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Erin.
Yeah, no problem.
So we wanted to spend the next few minutes together. I know we're almost at time, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But Jasmine is going to help us look at our team boards here. But I want to preface that by saying that this is all new for us, and we are learning how to do this as a group and how to help support teams in your ideas that you come up with together. So there are so many potential ideas, and Erin has encouraged us to, to think outside of the box. And so there's plenty more ideating that can be done. So I don't know if we're at the point where we will have ideas to put down here where you can, join the idea that you want to work on for the series. So don't feel pressured that you have to have that done by the next 5 minutes when we wrap up the event. But Jasmine, if you want to talk us through the boards here, we can get people thinking through what their next steps should be.
Yeah, so the idea is to find, some of these main ideas that were, mostly voted on, and you all would, rally around that idea. So anything that stands out, it will ideally go into this red box. And then if any of you are just feel super passionate about that idea and want to explore it further, then we ask that you would just add your name to a sticky note. We're asking for your name, your email as just, your first point of contact or your first contact information for people to reach out to you. And then just a fun question, which project phase you're most interested in or excited about. And yeah, like Meredith said, we don't expect you all to hop on an idea right this night or have an idea of, what exactly you want to focus on. Of course, you have a little bit of time before that. But yeah, we want you all to get to know each other, have contact information, start reaching out to each other. And you don't have to keep communicating through email. Please feel free to make a group text, a separate like Slack DM channel with each other in it. Yeah, and then I also want to point out these sticky notes with the stars. I don't want to call them like the team captain, because I feel like that's giving a different definition of what it is. It's just, we just want to have one point of contact in the group. If any of the co-leads or people need to reach out to the group for any reason, that's who we'll contact, and we know that, they'll respond to us just in a timely manner. So yeah, and also, because we work through like the healthcare idea, please don't feel pressure to having to go with one of these ideas. If you find a group of people and you all are passionate about another topic, please walk through this brainstorming process again with each other, keep iterating on ideas, and come up with your own topic to explore. This is just an example of how to dive deeper into a topic.
I'm just gonna mute. I raised my hand. I just have a question. I have two questions. One, how broad or focused should the idea be? And also, to like this beginning, like in the sticky note in the red box. And then also, what if there's like, people have a bunch of different ideas and there's like, I don't know, 30 some odd of us or whatever. Can people like, is this what we're limited to is, how many teams are there? 5?
Yeah, we're gonna have to make some more team boards.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to check.
Yeah, no, there can totally be more teams. And towards the beginning, I said, we wanted to keep the size around 3 to 6, just to keep it, that's like a much more manageable size. But yeah, we can make some more team boards, no worry. And then I think your first question was, what was the first question? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm looking at the mirror now. I was just wondering how broad, or so like that first brainstorming, it was like healthcare, education. Would that be an area to start, or should it be more focused than that? If like you have an idea and you want to try and find other people that are interested.
Yeah, dive deeper if you can or want to. It doesn't have to be. I would encourage you to dive into a more specific topic, have something more specific in mind to explore in the next phase.
You could also take one of those big ideas and find like, I can't think of it. I should just go look at what's there. But I'm going to use healthcare because that's the one that's on my mind. If healthcare was the one you wanted to dive deeper on, you could put that for your initial sticky, find others that want to dive deep on that. And between now and the next session, try to have another brainstorming where you do the dive deeper part with your smaller group.
And I'm sorry, my internet connection is cutting in and out. So I didn't mean to drop the screen share in the middle there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I see someone started making extra boards. Thank you. Yeah, I will work on making extra boards, but first I also wanted to just walk through some other next steps, if Meredith, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So besides, forming teams right now, I did want to mention again that our next event of the series is going to be the research event with April Showers. That's going to be next Saturday. And in the Miro board, there is the RSVP link. It's also already in our meetup, which is where the link will take you. So you can go ahead and already RSVP if you're available to attend. And again, it will be recorded for everyone's reference. And then, just a few next things that you all can do. Continue iterating on your idea, explore a new idea or topic if you want, and create a team around that. We also have our Notion link down here. So there you can see the suggested team rules, some deliverables we think you all should be working on to help with your final product and presentation, and then some project guidelines. And then of course, we have like some frequently asked questions, anything you may have questions over. And then once you do have your group formed, we ask that you decide on your like team contact person. And we ask that you all, meet if you can before next Saturday. Get to know each other, say hi, your interests, and talk about your topic. And then lastly, after this, we are hosting just like a quick meetup in GatherTown. We have a GatherTown room for you if you all want to meet together now. There is the link in here, the board that says what's next. At the bottom, there's the link for the GatherTown room. And then if you are new to GatherTown, we've been using it a few times for some of our past events. This year, there is like a user guide, like a quick user guide, just to quickly get to know it. It's basically like virtually meeting, but kind of mimics like real life conversation. So you can move around, and as you get closer to someone, you can talk to them, kind of like how you move around in like a room in real life. So yeah, we'll have that for about 30 minutes open, and we'll be there for you to just get to know one another.
So we know there may be a little bit of friction moving from Zoom to GatherTown. So I will leave this Zoom room open for a couple of minutes while we make that transition if you want to join us in Gather. The benefit of Gather is the ability to break into small groups where you have the ability to move around to whichever group you want. If we stayed in Zoom and did breakout rooms, we would be forced to move you around and it wouldn't give you the freedom to connect with other groups. So we are hoping that we can help you find other people based on the topic in the Gather space. So with that, we will officially wrap up in Zoom. I will leave it open for you, but if you would like to join us in Gather, and we'll pick back up there and in Slack as well.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining. Be sure to grab the Gather link, and we have people there waiting for you. I will attempt to play the ambient music while we transition, but I don't know if my internet can support it. Sorry, let me pause them.
I guess I think that's what they want us to do. I was a part of the mental health team. If you guys want to find me in the center and come gather near me, if y'all put your info on the sticky notes, I guess. I can find out.
Does everybody who wants to be in Gather, have you all made it to Gather? If so, I will close the Zoom because I think there will be audio feedback if we have both open at the same time. I just don't want to leave anyone feeling like they are lost or don't know where to go. Sure, Clara, if you want to hang on, I can talk you through that. Let me get the link back here.
So I don't have time to go to GatherTown because I go to sleep in 49 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do I catch up on things if I miss things there? Because it's like, I'm looking at the group that I've been in and it's like people are jumping off and moving around. So.
Okay.
Lillian, Patricia.
So should I just come back tomorrow and see who all ended up being in that group?
Yeah, I would hold on to the Miro board link and we'll put that in the hackathon channel on Slack. We'll pin it there so that you have access to it. And I would, whoever else remains, I guess, in that group that you're interested in, maybe reach out to them on Slack and find out. Yeah, I think see how it shakes out tomorrow, and then you know us, so get in touch with us if you have any problems and we'll try to get you situated.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye, Adita. All right, Clara, let me post the link again. So Gather, if you haven't used it before, there can be kind of a learning curve. So don't feel like you have to jump into it at all, but it's another video platform that allows you have this cute little like 8-bit character and you can walk around in the virtual space to talk to other people. So it's easier to find the other people in smaller group settings than it is in Zoom.
I see then. I just clicked the link and I think I will proceed to work there with everyone.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
All right, well then I'm gonna go ahead and close out the Zoom, but thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye.